Two versions of you wake up on the same morning. Same age, same 90 grand in the bank, same life, right up until today. Today, both of you sign a piece of paper. One of you signs for a house, 30 years of payments. You initial every page, sign at the bottom, and slide it back across the desk. One of you signs a lease, 1 year, you sign once. One of you is handed a key that is now yours. One of you is handed a key you have already agreed to give back. But this is the last morning the two of you are the same person. 30 years from now, one of you will have more money. That won't be the hardest part to compare. The rules are simple. You're 32, you make 80,000 a year, you've saved 90,000 down to the dollar, both of you. One of you buys a house, 400 grand, a door that's yours, and a mortgage 30 years deep. The other rents, and every dollar, the first you spends on owning. This you invests instead, all of it, every month, for 30 years. Same person, same money, two doors. 30 years from now, which one of you would you rather wake up as? The house is quiet in a way you didn't expect. The first night there's no furniture yet, so you sit on the floor. The room echoes. And the strange thing, the thing you can't explain to anyone, is that it's yours. The empty is yours. And the empty cost you everything you had. $90,000. Gone in a single morning. 80 went into the house. The last 10 went into things no one warned you about, fees with names you'd never heard, a check to a man you met once, a line at the bottom of a page that just said due at closing. You can't point to anything that 10,000 bought. Not a wall, not a window. It was the toll for standing in your own doorway. She sits down next to you on the floor. Takeout eaten straight out of the boxes. She looks at the bare wall for a long time. Then she uncaps a marker. She writes both your names down low by the baseboard, the date underneath. You tell her you're painting that wall Saturday. I know, she says, not looking up. Nobody's ever gonna see it. That's kind of the point. She caps the marker. 50 years from now, somebody sands this down and finds two names. Won't have a clue who we were. She shrugs. I like that. You can only do that to a wall that's yours. Across town, the other you carries 2 boxes up to a rented apartment. Same woman, same takeout, same floor. But this you doesn't touch the walls. There's a clause in the lease, no holes, no marks, return it the way you found it. So when you think about hanging a shelf, you put the drill back in the box. You keep the walls clean for the handing back. What you do instead is put $90,000 into the market. All of it. And every month after, the difference every dollar the other you pours into owning, this you quietly invests instead. And when she says, we could be anywhere next year, anywhere in the world, she's right. Nothing is holding you here. The whole map is still open. It's 2 a.m. when the sound starts. You go down to the basement in socks. Something's wrong with the water heater, a drip, then a hiss, then a slow dark spreading across the concrete. You stand there in the cold and wait for it to become someone else's problem. It doesn't. There's no landlord, no number to call, just your name on the deed and your bare feet on a wet floor. The bill comes with your name on it too. You budgeted for it, you did everything right, and it still feels like a fine for wanting the thing you wanted. On the way back up, in the dark, your hand finds the wall by the stairs and brushes the spot near the baseboard where 2 names sit hidden under 3 years of paint. You don't stop. You just touch it and keep climbing. The other, you never hears it. When something breaks in the apartment, you send one text. A man you'll never meet shows up with a toolbox, and the problem walks back out in a stranger's hands. Not your floor, not your name, not your 2 a.m. Then, in the spring, an envelope. The lease renewal, the rent is going up, not by much enough to feel, not enough to fight. The apartment is exactly what it was. Same paint you never marked. Same view of the same parking lot. Only the number moved. You read it twice. Someone you've never met decided this and put it in the mail. You didn't get a vote. You sign it. What else are you going to do? 3 years of watching the other, you sit in the market while you bled cash into a house. You already know how this is going to look. You brace for it. They're almost the same. 3 years in. One of you owns a wet basement and a wall with 2 names hidden under the paint. One of you owns a number on a screen and a lease that climbs every spring. And tonight they're worth almost exactly the same. The daughter arrives the same month in both lives. Same girl, same tiny fists. Same 3 a.m. feedings that turn the two of you into ghosts who nod at each other in hallways. In the house, she learns to walk on a Tuesday. She lets go of the coffee table and crosses maybe 4 feet of floor before she sits down hard, stunned at herself. You're on your knees with your arms out. You will remember this floor. The scratch by the vent, the warm patch where the sun comes in at 4. This exact stretch of wood is where your girl took her first step, and it's yours, and no one can ever tell you to leave it. 3 months later, the other you gets a letter. Not a cruel one, just business. The owner is selling the building. You've been good tenants, always on time, never a problem, and none of that matters, because the decision was never yours to make. You have 60 days. You walk the rooms trying to memorize them. The corner where her crib goes, the spot by the window where she took her first step, same girl, same Tuesday, different floor. A floor you now have to hand back. You pack it into boxes, you tape them shut, and you peel your apartment key off the ring and drop it in a drawer, because you won't need it where you're going, and you can't keep it, and it was never really yours to keep. The email arrives in both inboxes on the same gray Tuesday. A bigger job, another state. More money than either of you makes now enough to change what kind of life your girl grows up inside. The renter reads it and feels something lift. There's nothing to sell, nothing to unwind. A lease is a door you can walk out of. 2 weeks later, the truck is loaded and the family is pointed at a new city and a bigger paycheck and a version of the future that only exists because you could move. The owner reads the same email in a house he can't fold into a truck. To take it, you'd have to sell agents, months, strangers walking through the room with the names under the paint, or rent it out to people who'll hang their own things on your walls. And your girl is 5, and she has a bed she loves and a yard she knows and a friend 2 doors down. You do the math that isn't really about money. You turn the job down. You tell yourself it was the right call. Some nights you believe it. That first night in the new city, the renter's little girl cries in a bedroom that isn't hers yet. Nothing on the walls, boxes for furniture. She wants to go home, and home is 400 miles behind her now, and you sit on the floor of a room you're already agreeing to give back and wonder what you're doing to her. Then the weeks pass, the way they do. By spring, she has a best friend on this street too. She learns the new bus route in a day. She doesn't cry about the old city anymore, she just adds it to the list of places she's from. The owner's girl falls asleep the same night in the only bedroom she's ever had. Same ceiling, same crack, she's memorized. Down the hall, her father sits at a kitchen table thinking about the offer he let drive off without him. You've just watched the renter uproot his kid and the owner stay put and safe. You know which one looks like the better father tonight. The bigger job, the money invested from a bigger salary, the years already compounding the renter is ahead, and it isn't close-ish anymore. The one who looks reckless is winning on the board. The one who looks safe turned down the thing that would have grown the fastest. The daughter is 16 now, in both lives. Same girl. College applications open on a laptop, a deadline she keeps not quite starting, the whole rest of her life sitting in a browser tab. In the house he owns, she's doing them on her bed, in the room she's had since she was 1. Her father brings her tea and lingers in the doorway, and there it is under his hand on the frame, the ladder of pencil marks. Age 5, age 7, age 9, climbing the wood. 16 years of the same kid getting taller against the same strip of trim. He put the first mark there the summer they moved in. He never painted over it. She looks up from the laptop. Do you think I'll actually miss this place? He doesn't answer right away. 1,000 miles away, the same girl fills out the same applications at a kitchen table in the 5th place they've lived. The form asks for previous addresses. She starts typing them and starts laughing. There's not enough boxes for all of these. Her dad looks over. She's still going, adding lines. Portland, then Denver, then the place in Ohio she barely remembers, then here. Everybody at school puts one address, she says, still typing. I never know what to put. She hits the last line and shrugs. I kind of like that, actually. She keeps typing. You say nothing. Under both houses, the money already decided. The rent that started at $2,000 climbed every spring and passed what the owner pays years ago. It's still climbing, no ceiling, no end. The owner's costs rose too, but the loan itself was locked 2 decades ago and never moved. So the renter pays more to keep a roof now, every month. He pays more to live and has far more money anyway. 20 years of compounding, and the bigger salary from the move the owner turned down. The lead hasn't switched sides once, and it isn't going to. 30 years. The owner is 62 now, and one ordinary Tuesday, with no ceremony at all, he makes a payment that's different from the other 359. The last one. The mortgage is gone. The loan that shaped 30 years of not moving, of the job he turned down, of every broken thing landing on his name is simply over. The house is his. All of it. Nothing owed to anyone for the walls around him. He walks through it. The front room wall, sanded and repainted twice, still hides two names near the baseboard, 30 years down. The frame in her old room still holds the marks. The brass key in his pocket is the one from the first morning, worn smooth by one hand for 3 decades. But nobody tells you this part. The mortgage ends. The house doesn't stop costing. The taxes come every year until he dies. The insurance comes. The roof he did once will want doing again. He owns it completely, and it will keep its hand out for the rest of his life. He made his last payment on the house. He will never make his last payment for the house. He puts his palm flat on the wall by the stairs, same spot his hand always finds. The renter is 62 too, in a good apartment across the country from where he started. His phone lights up on the counter, a photo from his girl grown now, traveling. She's standing in front of a coffee shop in Portland, grinning. Oh my God, they still have the place we used to go. Remember this? You'd forgotten it. She hadn't. There's a drawer in his kitchen with a small pile of keys, 6, 7 of them, different shapes, doors and cities he'd have to think to name. He couldn't tell you which one opened which anymore. He still pays rent, and it's the highest it's ever been. But the account that started with $90,000 on the very first morning and swallowed every spare dollar for 30 years is now larger than the house his other self paid off. Comfortably larger. This month, a listing came up in a city he's always wanted to try, and he caught himself reading it all the way to the bottom. He could go. Nothing's holding him. He might. The lead never switched. The renter has more, the way he's had more for most of your life. But that was never the hard part to compare. One of you can wake up tomorrow and choose a completely different life. One of you can grow old in the room where his little girl learned to walk. Here's what the scoreboard never showed you. These two men were the same person. One morning, $90,000. A wife, a girl who learned to walk and grew up and drove back to a coffee shop 30 years later. Everything identical, right up until one signature. And then 2 whole lives happened. Not a spreadsheet, lives. 30 years of nights and repairs and moves and quiet Tuesdays. A girl who got one deep childhood in one house and the same girl who got a wide one across 5 cities. Both of them real, both of them her. Somewhere out there is a version of you that took the other door. And here is the part nobody says out loud. You will never meet him. You don't get to stand in the other kitchen, just once, and check. You choose one morning when it all feels like paperwork, and the other 30 years close behind it forever, with someone in them who is exactly you, living everything you said no to. One of them has more money. The money was the easy part to compare. That's the real cost, not the down payment, not the rent, the other life. So now it's morning again, and it's you this time. Not 2 versions, just you. 32, 90,000 in the bank. A whole life you haven't lived yet, stacked up behind a door you haven't opened. There are 2 papers on the table. One is a mortgage, one is a lease. Pick up either one, and you become one of them. The man with the worn key and the marked-up door frame who turned down the job and stayed. Or the man with a drawer full of keys and a girl who's from everywhere, who has more money and no single place that was his. Both of them lived a full life. Both of them lost the other one. There's no wrong choice here. There's just the one you'll never get to walk back through. 30 years from now, you won't wish you'd made more money. You'll wonder about the other you, the one who took the door you didn't. And you'll never, ever get to ask him if he was happy,